Okay, so I'm going to do a quick recording. Someone mentioned in the group that it looked like I wasn't actually trading off the power trade signal, so I'm going to go back and look at the trades. So I posted a lot of trades this afternoon after the live. So we did a morning live session, killed it about noon, and then I went into, I don't know what you want to call it, beast mode or overkill or whatever. So I decided to trade some this afternoon. My son came down, wanted to trade, so we started looking at trades. I started taking several different instruments. So that's normally not when I trade. I was looking forward to getting off at noon, having some lunch, and relaxing, and then getting on to my honeydew list. And however, I went ahead and took a bunch of trades. So we're going to go over them. So the first one here is on gold. Buy signals all across the board. I don't know how I'm trading against these signals. That's what we're looking for. I think the only one I took was gold. Let's see, there was a NASDAQ retracement I traded, and you can trade retracements. I love trading retracements. When something moves so far in one direction, what does it normally do? It retraces. If it retraces and you have a good retracement line, what do? You trade the retracement. You go in with less contracts. You go in lighter, and that's what I did. I believe I only put 2 contracts on NASDAQ to trade that retracement. And then when it hit the retracement line and bounced, I got in heavier, okay, on that bounce and sell signal that came up, okay? So we know we can trade retracements. This is not a retracement trade. There's buy signals all morning on this. Here's gold. Buy, buy, buy. Lots of buy signals. What did I do? I bought. I bought after this candle closed right here. And you can't hardly see my cursor. I realize it's not as big as it is on my computer. But right there, that candle right there closed. And that's where I bought. I bought when it closed above these highs. Okay. Good trade. This one, sell signals. I mean, it's moving down. Okay. And sell signal, sell signal. I took the second sell signal. I did it during that candle. The candle was moving. So when you place a trade, I get a sell signal. That candle closes. The sell signal is only going to appear, and the buy signals, they're only going to appear when a candle closes. So this red candle closes. I get a sell signal, and I pull the trigger. It was down here. It had pushed down. So don't forget that. It's not, hey, why isn't your marker up here? It was pushing down the start of that candle. And so I sold. I sold basically when this one signaled and closed. I hit the sell button. The market's still moving. It doesn't pause. So I can get in. But basically, look, I took a sell signals. Okay. Here, what did I do? I took a buy in oil. Buy signal. Okay. Those buy signals came after what? Here's some sideways movement down here. It broke through the top of these highs, gave a buy signal. Went up, pulled back, buy signal. I got in on the second one, trading it to the 4-hour time frame. Picture of the charts overall. This was a 6 instruments I'm trading. There's buy signals. I was long. There's buy signal. I was long. There's sell signal. I wasn't in this one. Okay. There was a buy signal here on euro. It's just not showing. And I was in long. There's a sell signal here on platinum. I was in short. There's a sell signal here on Bitcoin. I was in short. It gave sell signal and pushed through the 4-hour zone. Why didn't I sell up here when the signal came? Because it was right at a 4-hour zone. I didn't know if it was going to go through or not. So I sold over here after it plowed through that zone. After the market said, I'm going on through that. You can jump in if you want. And I'm sorry, I got to watch a trade over here. I've got a trade on platinum still from this morning. 2 contracts left, and it's up 490 right here. So I'm kind of watching that one because it is up around a 4-hour time frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close one. That's not what I intended to do, but I want to close one because it's up around the 4-hour. So I need to close one of those off. Just let me do that real quick, and I'll get back to the charts. because it is around my 4-hour zone, so I don't want to neglect that trade. Okay, so we go into this trade. Here's that platinum trade. Again, sell signals. This is perfect off the 4-hour zone. That's a 4-hour zone right there, the yellow zone, that it came up to, hit the top, came back. After it pulled back through the bottom of it, it tapped it sideways. Sell, sell, sell. I sold. Sell signal, platinum. That's the one I'm in short. Here, these are where I got closed out. So notice, I had 11 contracts in on a buy. Okay, closed out 9 contracts here. The remaining contracts were closed out here, the other 2, on the pullback. So I had moved my stop and was stopped out on the runners. Same over here. 10 contracts on oil, closed out 8 contracts up here where it hit profit level 2. So 2 times 1 risk to reward level, 2 risk. I gained twice as much as I risked. Okay. And then had 2 contracts on, moved my stop, stopped out here. Then it gave a sell signal. Gave a sell signal on oil after it pulled back. What did I do? Both of these. Okay? Both of these, gold and oil. They both dropped. They're moving in sync. Got a sell signal on oil. And I'm red here. Notice there's 2 time frames red here. The lower time frame, which I have mine on 5, 15, and 1 hour, is the 3. The 15 or 5 has been red 2 candles. The 15-minute time frame red 1 candle. Okay, that's from the big drop, basically. And the 1 hour hasn't turned yet. But over here on oil, they all have changed. So I saw that as a signal to definitely short oil because I got a sell signal. But let's go ahead and look at doing it to gold as well because we're seeing the same setup. Okay, so that's what I did. Got in short in gold, got in short in oil. Up 408 in oil, up 312 in gold. What do you think I'm doing? I'm closing out. It's over 1-to-1 here where it is on gold, not quite on oil. Okay, on oil, that's a nice, 408 is nice profit, but it's not quite 1-to-1 on that, whereas over here on gold it is. You can see it's definitely moved past, and it was even further. It was up more than 300. So we're looking at closing out, and notice I put on 10 in each. I'm looking at closing out 8 or 12 on each. Looking to close out 8 or 10. There's just some trades on that. So that's oil. So I closed out oil, and it was 640 when I closed out. So it had popped down a little more. I think it was up around 800 and closed out partial. And notice I closed out 10. So again, oil we had 12 on, closed out 10, locking in 640 on that. Here, this is on Bitcoin. Sell signal. It moved down through the 4-hour zone. Again, the yellow zones. This is a 4-hour zone. Moved down through the 4-hour zone. Pulled back up, test 4-hour zone. Moved on. Pulled back up here. Wick test it. But we know we have selling pressure, right? Long wicks, long tails up here. We know that's selling pressure. We still have strong selling pressure. Red candle. Sell signal came, boom, sold. That's the trade. I closed 10. I was a little more aggressive at closing 10 on this because of this inside bottom. Okay, the inside bottom is the inside of a turn, a swing. So you get a swing down and up. You have a turn, you have the low, and you also have an inside bottom. Well, it was right at the inside bottom, so I decided to go ahead and close 10. That was before it even hit 1-to-1. And I was glad I did because then it pulled back. There's the pullback that took me out. So, again, closed 10, pulled back. So it didn't even hit 1-to-1. Fine with that. I had to be aggressive with my closed partial when I was. Okay, so it had pulled back. So we know that's pulling back. Here, buy signal over here. So a little late, it had a huge pullback. And then this is where I bought. Basically, so we had buy signals several times in the morning. And then we had red on the lower, the 5 and 15. So we know it's pulling back. So we had a huge pullback. And then it kind of feathered out and moved sideways. So basically, I bought here when it pulled up above these highs. I thought it was going to close up above the high, so I got in a little early. I didn't wait for the candle to close. And I'm really glad I didn't, because if I would have, I'd have got in on that or this. So I got in at a decent price. But overall, I kind of jumped the gun on that. But I was looking for a break of the high. So we have a high, we have a lower low, we have a lower high, but then we have a higher low. So this is a lower high than this one, but this is a higher low than this one. It starts feathering out. We go sideways. We know it's going to break one or the other. Okay, it's going to break the high side or low side. It's going to break the high or the low. We're watching for that. If it breaks through the high, we have a break in structure. Our structure over here was a pullback. Okay, it was pulling back. So we have that break in structure, and we got that, and then obviously we have a buy on there. There's the second part of that trade. So again, bought in here. I can't see the total. Well, it's up about $80, but you'll notice I have a sell order here. So 10 contracts on, 8 contracts, a sell limit order of 8 to close out 8, close my partial. And up here at the top, there's under all that, there's a sell order to close out, a sell limit to close out 1 if it gets that high. Next chart or image, it pulled up. It pulled up and closed out my 8. So what I had to do was then take this order, my stop order, and move it up to either a halfway point or move it up to break even and change the order, okay, to match. And there's that move of the stop. So again, here's where it is. So I moved the stop just under the entry. I moved it about 3/4 of the way. So the full stop was down here, okay, and it hit 1-to-1. And I moved my stop not to the halfway point, but I decided to move it up a little further to about the 3/4. So I still had a quarter stop at risk for those 2 contracts, okay? And then bam, got stopped out. So, and notice I would have got stopped out at a full loss here. So that's always something you should be paying attention to. It pulled back aggressive, dropped back, took me out here. So I had a smaller loss on those 2 contracts than I did if I would have left my stop here. If I'd have left my stop here, I would have had stopped out at on 2 of them the same level, okay, 1-to-1, as I banked 2 here. So I closed 8 here. If I would have had my stop down here and got stopped out on those 2, you could have canceled out 2 of those 8. So I still would have been in profit 6 contracts at the 1-to-1, because these 2, if I had my stop here, would have canceled those out. But again, I'm trading off of the, we didn't get a buy signal when I got in, okay? But notice I got in on the break. I jumped the gun. It didn't close. I didn't wait for a candle to close. But here, when this candle closes up above this high, what do we have? The 5 minutes in line with the 1 hour. It's just the 15 minutes not come around yet. So still looking at these signals. We're not ignoring them and trading opposite ways. And everything else said buy, 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 buy. It's just we had a big pullback on it. Here's a sell. Guys, these are all the trades from today, this afternoon. So this is oil again. So another trade in oil. This one's short. There's the sell signal. Okay, I didn't get in right at the sell signal. It dropped here again, and that's where you see where I got in, basically while that was pulling down. So I got in with 12, closed 10, had 2 runners on, moved my stop. There's a 4-hour support and resistance level there, so I kept my stop above that, thinking, okay, if it pulls back up to test that 4-hour level, hopefully that will hold. Okay, this was another entry on gold. Remember, gold and oil, took them both. Gold went up. Okay, we got in long, and gold went up. Okay, so this is not this trade power, the trade tool back here that shows the 2-to-1, 1-to-1, all your profit targets. That's based on my trade over here. I didn't change it. I left it on the chart. So this is a second trade, basically on that pullback that took me out. I basically jumped back in. Okay, buy signal, and then hoping it goes. So on that buy signal, notice I had 10 on, and I closed out 8 and left 2 on. The reason why is because late in the day, right, late in the morning, because it was after 1, I know things tend to go sideways, We don't always get those breakouts that we want. We don't always get them to run. So I'm not stupid. I'm going to close partial and move my stop. And that's what I did. I closed partial. My stop was down here somewhere, and then I did move it up partially to minimize that risk. That's overall where we were at that point, $2,000 profit. This one, we just didn't get a buy signal early on. We got a buy signal here. So this was platinum, and notice I traded it short over here again. Okay, shorted for 10, closed 8, and moved my stop, got popped out. Put on 10 short or 12, closed out 10, moved my stop, got popped out. So 2 good trades there, and basically it's bouncing on that 4 hour. And then when it came up here, we actually had a buy signal. So what I took the buy was this right here. It basically broke this high. So when it broke that high and this candle closed up here, I thought I will take a chance and go ahead and take it that it's going to at least go to the top of the zone, which wasn't much for a target, and hopefully pop and run after that. So that was my trade on there. Look at the bottom of the chart. Everything's turned green. Okay. So I just got in a little early, but I got in basically, if you notice, the lower time frames were both green, the 5 minute and 15. That's the same trade. This was gold. So this was gold, a sell for 20 contracts, closed 16 when it hit 1-to-1, and had my runners on. And I can't see what my runners were up, but I had put 20 contracts on, closed 16 on this one. Felt real confident in that reverse, and still had 4 runners on. But there's a sell signal. This is the rest of that trade. I'm trying to look. This is oil still. So oil short on it. Everything's red. If you look at the indicator, everything's red. I can't scrunch the chart back, but since everything's red, we would have had a sell signal back there. So we're still trading that sell signal. And that's the same thing. This is the gold trade. So that's where the gold trade was when I updated it. Again, got in here on the sell signal. Guys, it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, it really doesn't. I'm trading the signals. Pulled down, hit profit target 6 times your risk on that. Now, I had already, put on 20, closed out 16, and then had 4 on at that point. And had 2. So I closed out 2 when that was there. So when this candle had pulled down and hit level 5 here and was in that area, I did close out 2 of my contracts. And notice I didn't move my stop. So I left the stop here. This is that chart. Closed out 2 and then, just changed my stop to match. So I left 2 runners on in case it went. It didn't do that. Here is an update on the Bitcoin trade. So that Bitcoin trade that I got in, that it was right at the top of the zone. And you just have to realize that you're taking on a little extra risk because it is right at that top of that 4-hour zone. Is it going to break through? We don't know. I was taking a chance on it that it was going to go through. I got in a little earlier. I got in when structure changed because, again, we have a high over here. We have a low. This low is lower than the lows that were to the left. Then we have a high. This high is lower than this high. Then we have a higher low. We would like to see a lower low. Lower highs, lower lows. It's short. It's bearish. Okay? So when we see a lower high but then a higher low, then this right here is what we're looking for to say structure may be changing. Let's wait for the high to break. If the high breaks, we're going to get in, assuming that structure has changed, and now we're in a bullish direction on the instrument, and that is exactly what happened. I just got in early. I got in when this candle right here closed because this candle here, it broke that high, broke that structure. So now we know. Now we have a low, a high, a higher low, and because it pushed up, it's a higher high already. We don't have to wait for this to go up and pull back. We know when this high is broke, it is moving up. It is past this high. Technically, it's already made a higher high. It doesn't matter how high it goes. It's a higher high. So we know here we have that change in direction, change in character, whatever you want to call it. Okay. But now we're seeing bullish setup. So we get in and there we are. Again, I closed out 8 here when it just popped above. So it wasn't up much for me. Few hundred, and I closed out, and then the 2 remaining contracts were still on. This is why we leave runners on. We leave runners on so that'll just keep on. If it keeps moving, we're in. This one, same thing. So it was in a sell. I wish I could scroll the chart over. So platinum was in that sell off. This was a retracement right here. Okay. And we had another short sell here. This right here is where it broke through that retracement line. We start seeing the lower time frames hit green. Okay. Notice I didn't buy right when the lower time frame changed to green. Okay. And this is something I guess I should explain more on the one-to-one or when I post charts, but I'm not getting in the reverse just because that lower time frame turns green, the 5 minute. Because if I would have, what would you do? Long there, trade retracement, long there, trade retracement. So we're looking at the 2 time frames, the 5 and the 15 at least, if you want to trade that. And you kind of get in early then if we get that trend direction change. Okay. So the lower time frame, the 5 was green. It was pulling back up to this high. I want to wait for this high to be broken. Okay. That's the high I want to break. And I guess you guys can see that a lot better now on the chart. Okay. So I want to wait for that high to be broken. And what happens to it is it comes over, pulls back right here. If you look down low, we have the 15-minute turn green as well for several candles, several 3-minute candles. Actually, I'm on a 1 minute. So several candles, that 15-minute is also green. So we have the 5-minute and the 15-minute green. Okay. That's enough that I can get in and take a chance if I want. Okay. If not, you're waiting on all 3 to turn green. Okay. So if you want to get in a little earlier, you can take the 2, but you have to realize that you're taking a big chance. So my extra confirmation, seeing these 2 green, my confirmation was what? Well, what was I waiting on? Well, I just said I was waiting on this high to break. This was the high. Okay. This green candle pushed up and broke above that high. And we have 2 time frames below it, green. I went ahead and bought 10. Okay. And my stop down here out of the way. Basically my stop, I didn't want to come to this low. Well, I've kept them kind of tight today, but I definitely have my stop below this high. Okay. And below the inside top. Okay. Because this is a move up. So you have your high and your inside of that turn, which is the inside top. So I wanted to keep my low just below that level. So another good entry. Okay. This is done on gold for the day. So we had a trade over here short, or I did. Short 12, pulled 10, and then closed out the others. Here, put on 12 long. No, this is my 10 long plus, right? 10 long plus closing out the 2. So we had 12 short, closed out 10, had 2 runners. Over here, when this popped, it popped my 2 out from this trade, my 2 runners. And then I got in with 10 and then closed out 8 over here when it hit 1-to-1. And then I moved my stop to the halfway point, or right here to the quarter point, and got stopped out when it popped. And then I got back in, took another trade. Again, I already mentioned why I closed out. 8 is because it hit the inside top of that move, and we expect stuff to feather down and go sideways. And we never know when they're going to pop. So that got popped out here where I moved my stop to the halfway point right there. And then, of course, got in short over here. So, guys, great trading. That was what? 1,174 on the day. Sure, I had loss. I had what is that? 1,515 right here. So, 1,515 positive. 341 on the negative. That was one trade I took, I believe, that got the big negative. And then, but so overall, 1,174 on the day. So very happy with that. Why wouldn't I be? This is the Bitcoin, and I think I stopped trading at this point. So this is the runners on Bitcoin. Again, got in up here as it was at the high and closed out. Let's see, let me pull this up. So got in with 10, closed out 8, okay? Left 2 runners on, and here's where the runners were. Or left 1 runner on, sorry. So 1 runner on as it, or 2 runners on, and then when it pulled up here, sorry, I closed out 1 more runner and then left 1 on, but had my stop there and eventually got stopped out. So real happy with this on the day. I mean, it's 498. So 565 total with 67 on the loss on it. So I'm okay with that. That's still great on the day. Again, you're supposed to be focusing, and guys, you guys aren't supposed to be focusing on what I'm doing. You're supposed to be focusing on what you're doing. How much do you need to make per day? My goals are a little bigger, okay, than a lot of people's. And your goals may be bigger than someone else's, or they might be smaller. But you should target, what you need per day. This one was on platinum. So this is those platinum runners, still have 2 on. So platinum on the day wasn't the best. I got 375 in the end, but was up, we had a total profit of 760. Sorry guys. 760 with a loss of 385 over here total back. Okay. On that, but was still in the trade when I posted that. What is this? 600 NASDAQ. So this was NASDAQ. NASDAQ was great today. NASDAQ took 601 on it and only had like a $4.68 drawdown. That was the max drawdown. So great on it. But basically, NASDAQ is one that I did trade the retracement. So that might have been what you were talking about was we had a sell signal over here. And we actually had... I bought, and I don't have the chart up here. I know it's out there where I shared it while we were live, where it doesn't have this profit and loss statement on there. But basically, you can see my dashed line through the back of this. That was a down trend line, okay? And on that down trend line, then when it changed structure over here, okay? So basically. Pulled up, gave a sell, moved short, but it came up and it broke the high. So it broke the recent high, pulled down to test that recent high, and I got in light. I want to emphasize that, light. It is a retracement trade. We don't know if it's going to go all the way to the line or not. This one did. But we don't know if it's going to get there. So go in lighter. There's no use or no need to take on extra risk on these. And it's great. I know you look back and say, well, you only put 2 on. It went all the way to the line. Man, you should just put 10 on or 20 on. And that's great. I could look back, hindsight, and say, wow, it'd have been great if I'd have had 10 or 20 on, right? Closed out partial and over here closed out the rest. That would have been a great trade. But at the time we're trading it, all we know, okay? All we know is it broke the high, it came back and tested the high, and we have a target. That circle was my target that I drew on that line. So all we know is it's changing directions, okay? And on that change in direction, we can take that retracement that could possibly become a trend change. We have to have a target, and I had a target, and I went in lighter because of that, because I had no idea if it's going to follow through with my plan. My plan was, let's trade the retracement up to my red down retracement line. Well, the market doesn't care what I do, so that's my plan. However, the market's going to do what the market's going to do. So I went in lighter, okay? So good trade overall. And then I traded short over here. So this was the other. I shorted, okay? it looks like I shorted 6. I actually have 1 runner on from this. I put 2 contracts on here, closed one up there. You can kind of see the order. Had 1 runner on. It pulled back, pulled up. The 1 runner got stopped out here. So when it pulled down, it closed out my 1 runner on the long position, and I jumped in with 5 short. Okay, so I got in a little early, and then closed out 4 when it was down here. You'll see the order right there when it tapped that low, and then moved my stop and got stopped out. So I got 422. So the bulk of the 600 on NASDAQ was this trade right here where I jumped in on that drop, and it went down, closed 422, pulled my stop down and got 65 on the right. And that was it. I didn't get any more. I know I said while we were live, I said if it comes up and breaks that red line, I was going to get in long, but I was too busy watching other stuff, and I didn't get it. This was... Okay, so this is that trade on Platinum that I was still holding and just closed out over here. It's gone now. So you guys know when we just started this, Platinum was still on, and it was up, shooting up to that 4-hour level. So this was my last trade I was holding. Actually, I'm in the euro still. So again, traded long over here when it broke this high, broke that high, and I went ahead and took it long. That change in structure over here, change in character, okay? We made a low, we made higher highs in here, and then it comes down and makes a higher low than this one, starts turning, and then I waited for extra confirmation for me. I didn't want to get mixed up in, is this going long or short? So I did wait, and I waited for it to break this high. Once it broke that high, I jumped in, sat sideways what seemed like forever. It popped up, I closed partial, went back a little bit toward my entry, pulled up sideways again, and then finally started taking off. So it was moving up toward the that 4-hour target, okay, our 4-hour zone, that 4-hour line. That's what I'm trading it to, okay? The at the time I took it, remember, only the 5-minute and 15-minute was green. It's okay to take that. You're trading that retracement on the higher time frame because the 1 hour is still red. The 4-hour was still red. I just don't have it on the chart. 1 hour, 4 hour still red. But we can trade the retracements. So that's what I'm doing when I sit there, and I have to see at least 2. I have to see at least the upper bar green, that's the 5-minute, as the way I'm using it right now to scalp during the day or day trade. And then the middle bar, which is the 15, that needs to be green as well. I'd like to see a couple of them green, but ultimately not just that. The break of the high. The break of the high timed in with that because this move up right here, these 4 candles, turned that 15-minute time frame around and made them green. Okay, that move up. So at that is extra confirmation. We're seeing that extra swing up. That's confirmation. We're seeing that break of that high. We're seeing that change in character. So that's where it was overall on Platinum. And then this is it with the follow through. And I still have my short indicator on there, short trade. But this is the rest of the trade. So, and I don't know where my closed one's at because when we came in here, I closed one. I don't know where my trade markers are because I still had 2 trades on. And I hate that sometimes they don't show. But they're not showing. So anyways, I had 10 on, 2 closed, or 8 closed, and then while it was up here when we were in here starting, you guys saw the trade off to the left. I don't know why they're not showing, but I closed 1 and then got stopped out. And the stop was better than break even. So good trade. So it's more than this. So on this, I wasn't too happy on that because, again, on Platinum, I was 760 overall and only 375 in my pocket. But I forget how much it was up on the remainder. I want to say it was up about 250 or 300 when I just closed out the one. So I don't know, guys. I just wanted to cover that because I am waiting on the signals. We are trading the power trade indicator. I'm just using it on the 515 and the 60 is how I'm using mine. So 515 and 60, because I'm on the smaller time frame, I'm on the 3, and I want to get in a little early on some of my trades instead of doing the 15, 60, and the 4 hour. If I'm doing the 15, 60, and 4 hour, I'm going to trade them a little longer. Okay, this was me getting in and out of a lot of trades. So, anyways, I just thought I'd go over that. But again, I'm not just taking the two signals. Again, the bottom two signals, or the top two here, the 5-minute 15 turn green. Okay, you'll see that if I come put a vertical line right there, okay, they're both green, and then I have that break of the high, okay, and that's what we're looking for is extra confirmation. All right, so hope you enjoy this. I will get it posted or uploaded, and it will post to Discord.